Morning.
It's recording in progress. All right, guys. So I'm hoping this is going to be a fun session. And it's going to be pretty much a huge screen share. And we're going to go through all the tools that we've kind of gathered that we use and that we recommend entrepreneurs and startups to use in their kind of day-to-day to make their life a lot easier. And this is to accelerate a lot of the workload that you might have with many different tools, and also enhance a lot of the education when it comes to again, like tackling performance marketing, understanding market trends, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of like two camps. One is more to ease your workload, and the other one's more to kind of give you education. So I'll start sharing my screen, and we can get started. So let me just remove this, and that. Make it nice and clean. This. Cool. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. All right, guys. And honestly, like, this is a super casual conversation. If you have any questions about a specific thing, please let me know, stop me. We can go a little bit more into depth in each of the tools. So this was a tool that we put together for Shalhoub Group in general, just to kind of as well aid the lives of so many of our brand managers, marketing people within all the brands that we have within the organization, just to make their life a little bit easier. Some tools you might know, and I hope you know most of them, which I doubt. But some are going to be great. So I'll just start with kind of like the first bit, which is royalty-free images and vector graphics. So there's just to kind of kick off, we'll send you the link. All these are going to be under our website, and you can come and just link out of these and use them as you please. It's a free site that not really a free site, but it's a site that we created for the organization. So without further ado, first, we start with royalty-free images and vector graphics. So whenever you guys are creating presentations or you want to put something on your website, it's always tricky to use really high-res, really high-quality pictures and or icons without having to pay for it. So we've put together a few tools that exist out there that give you access to super high-quality, high-res, royalty-free images, so you can use them in performance marketing on your website. So usually the one I like to use is Unsplash, but pretty much all of these will do it for you. So let's just demo one of these guys. And let's say we want, I don't know, talk about beauty for whatever reason. So you'll get either models or product shots or just different types of layouts. And all of these are royalty free. They are free to download and free to use on any platform. You'll have, advertising, of course, and just try not to fall into the trap of, iStock or Shutterstock trying to sell you some stuff. There's tons and tons of images out there that you can just download. You can, pick any color, orientation, et cetera, et cetera. So Unsplash is one that's really, really good for photography. And we use all the time when we just want to create something beautiful that's high res. So relatively straightforward. FreePic is another interesting one. And this one combines photos, vectors, and Photoshop files as well. And again, it's slightly different. You can actually, get even content for your social media, for example, like a Happy Diwali message. Obviously not relevant for us, but it kind of gives you an idea of the types of stuff you can do. You can look into the vectors. And for the designers out there, they can usually import these in. They're going to be vectors, so they're going to be transparent. You're going to be able to import them in InDesign and play around with them as you like. And this is a really easy way of just importing certain shapes without actually having to work on them. So not going to dwell too much on this one. Obviously you can choose between free and premium. You can get like packs. So if you want like an icon pack, that's something that you can explore. But it's really, really an easy way to just get your kind of vectors into Illustrator or Photoshop or whatever you guys use. Again, I recommend this one more for iconography rather than for photography. I'd probably use I use Unsplash for that. A couple other resources. Flaticon is specifically for icons. Again, it's going to be vectors. You can do, sticker packs, icons if you want to build something within your website or your mobile app that you're building, or anything else. Relatively straightforward, kind of same approach as the other two, but you can bring consistency and kind of like get these packs rolling in. Again, super easy, super straightforward. Not much to talk about here. Pixpay, again, it's images, and so is Burst. Burst, I think, is part of Shopify, so it's already built in. So if you actually use Shopify, and I think a lot of you do, you can actually pull, it's built in, it's baked into the builder. So if you're looking for images to kind of add, it automatically builds that in, and you can, of course, dump anything you guys want. I don't know, yoga, because that's, trending right now, I guess. And you're gonna get a bunch of images about yoga. Easy peasy. Cool. Pixpay, same thing. Again, royalty free, use them as you like, you won't get in trouble. Straightforward, easy. Questions? Have you guys seen these before? Have you used them before? I'm just curious.
Never even knew they existed.
Me neither.
Oh, okay, good. Good. So this is a thumbs up for now, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So this is kind of like the easy part. Now, I'm going to move into the section we call design and prototyping and presentation builders. So there's quite a lot here, and I'll demo each one a bit, but I'm just going to give them a little bit of an overview before I jump into it. So Figma, has anybody heard of Figma before?
No.
Nope. Okay, Sinead, you work with me. Of course, you've heard about Figma. Okay, so Figma is one of my favorite tools. First of all, it's absolutely free. It lives on the web and it lives on your computer, whether you have a Windows or a Mac. And it's perfect for working with vectors and pretty much creating any sort of design. But it's actually a tool that is a lot more powerful than that. And this is where you can actually start prototyping, wireframing, and designing a digital product, whether that's a website or a mobile app. And it's absolutely phenomenal when it comes to building this. I'm going to show you how the tool works, and I'm going to show you my example. So I also have a small startup in coffee, and I'll give you kind of the examples of how I work with some of the designers on my team in order to prototype some stuff. And it's an excellent tool because you can actually send someone a clickable and interactive product in order for them to demo it, etc. So it's a really, really good way to test anything that you're building, but it's also an amazing tool to build any sort of design. So we built all our stuff in Figma because it's free, it's super easy to use, and it's web-based, so it's super collaborative. So you can have like 15 people working on the same thing at the same time. It's really, really cool. So InVision is another prototyping tool. It's a little bit more advanced. So it's just something to know about. So if you start working with like UX and UI designers and prototypers, you might see them working on InVision. Again, this is a freemium tool, so free, and then there's a payment process as well. But it's really, really good in order when it comes to building website and apps specifically. So it's just kind of like a one tool that does prototyping, and it's set for designers. So if you're ever working on your next kind of digital project, they might use InVision. It's quite popular. GIMP is pretty much the alternative to Photoshop, but it's free. Now, there's a bit of a high learning curve on this one, but if you're looking to get the same power as a Photoshop without actually having to pay for it, GIMP is your way to go. Now, Zemplate is really, really cool. So what Zeppelin does, it kind of combines Figma and InVision in one when it comes to prototyping. So once a designer or a UX UI person uploads let's say a couple of screens on a mobile app or a website, it will translate this into code. So then developers can actually take that code within pixel perfection and actually start developing it. Usually what happens is when you build digital products is, there'll be a half-assed wireframe with some UX UI, and usually a lot of people ask the developers themselves to, hey, can you make that button bigger or change the color on the button? And it's really not their job. Their job is to just kind of connect the backend code to the buttons and ensure that when executed, they do the right thing. This is where Zeplin kind of comes in, and it takes away the design push away from the developers, puts it in the hands of the designers in a way where both parties can speak their own language, but connected at the same time. This creates a lot more clarity, transparency, and efficiency when you build a digital product. And it's really, really cool. We'll run through the website, but I don't have a project at the moment to show you, but pretty much once you start looking at the layers, you'll see code behind each pixel that is then code the developers can actually take and utilize when start coding. So really, really cool tool. So this is kind of more technical stuff, more of the fun stuff. I'm sure you guys have heard of Beautiful.ai, a great tool to create any type of content. Yes, you can design websites, but honestly, you can build your content for your social there. You can build beautiful presentations, and they have a lot of interesting plugins as well. So you can do like iPhone mockups or like desktop website mockups if you need to. Canva, very much kind of the same. It's a drag and drop tool for designers, just to kind of build beautiful content as well. UpLabs is badass because it kind of gives you a library of different designs ready to go, and we'll run into it. Same thing with the UI8, pretty much a design library, and you can take a lot of UI kits out, and I'll show you what UI kits are. So one thing that I always struggle, and I'm by no means a creative designer type of person, but one thing I always struggle with is colors. So colors is a really, really cool tool where you can, it's a system, it's a software, on web-based software that sits and generates colors. And once you start locking in those colors, it'll match the next color that matches that first color that you've locked. And we'll run through it really, really quickly. And Stylify Me is for, again, helping with designers with kind of like style guides. So this is kind of an overview of this section. So we'll just run into it. So I'm going to just launch Figma from here, and I can show you guys some cool stuff. Cool. All right. So this is Figma, and just to give you an idea, this is how we kind of, let's say, prototype a web page. So this is for the Greenhouse Accelerator, and then we can actually, this is all layered, and you can actually extract each of the contents out. So again, this is really this is free. So really, really easy to use, drag and drop. You can bring in elements as you like, you can connect them, and you can make them interactive. So we use this for anything and everything when it comes to like social media, any sort of newsletters that we want to design with some sort of a design here, et cetera, et cetera. So this is kind of like the light work of Figma. So we've brought in speakers so we can create like little cards and invitations like this. Really, really simple, really, really easy. Now here comes the cool part. Let's see if we can launch something. So we've been working on a partner portal for my coffee business. And let's see if this thing loads. You guys stop me at any one point if I'm not making sense or something's not clear.
Are there mobile apps for these?
Most of them do come with a mobile app or web interface that actually works on mobile as well. But you're gonna have to check. I'm not 100% certain. Do you create things on your phone mainly?
Yeah.
Is that why?
or Photoshop. If I'm using my laptop, Photoshop. Yeah.
I mean, look, when it comes to design, and I think Jude might be, I would assume is probably the one that knows the most around this. She comes from a graphic design background. I personally prefer using a laptop just because of the screen, and you can demo stuff and you can mock up stuff. But it's whatever you're comfortable with. Honestly, when it comes to design, I think efficiency is key. Just trying to churn out things quick, because especially like me, like if you don't come from that background and you don't have the expertise, and it's just something that you see and you try to translate, you just try to do it as quick as possible. So, but I hear you. A lot of the young kids, as I like to call them, you know, do
Like
all their
apps.
content. Yeah, they create all their content on mobile app. But this is kind of where you kind of upgrade it a bit, and you can go a little bit more in depth and a little bit more detail. So these are just going to be screens, and they are all kind of interactive. So if this works, I should be able to click on become a partner, but it looks like my links are broken, right? Or is it a login button? Yeah, see, bad demo. Let me try another one, guys. Prototype, maybe it was this one. Organizing your stuff is also important when it comes to design. All right, cool. So this will tell, so when you start prototyping, you have clickable areas in Figma. It'll give you these like blue bits. This will tell you that these are actually interactive. So if you click on it, it'll start putting you through what you can click on, and you can actually go from screen to screen. Think of it as like a PowerPoint presentation goes from slide to slide, but the slides are all over the place. So this is just to show you the interactivity of how you can build a almost ready product in Figma as a website, and then you can kind of give that to a dev team to code. And this is how we usually start. We build it out in a Figma or a tool similar to Figma for prototyping, and then that goes to a developer for coding. So I just wanted to show you a quick little demo of how this works with the interactive buttons that you can build in, and it's relatively easy to build. So this is just a really quick overview of that. Really, really simple. So this is Figma, and the cool thing is, as I said, it's collaborative. Moving forward to InVision, and I don't think I have an InVision project to show you, but the idea really here is that you can do some really, really cool prototypes, and they're very easy to build, very, very easy to build in InVision. So if you're building your next mobile app, this is a great way to start. Create buttons, make them interactive, put the animations through. Really, really, really cool. So this is InVision. Cool. GIMP. So GIMP is heavy. I think they do have a web-based bit that you can also download it. Again, it is your Photoshop for free, pure and single. And I think they've added a few dev tools inside as well. So great. That's it. GIMP is GIMP. Funny name. So this is Zeppelin. This is one of my favorite tools, and this is where design meets. Oh, and you can actually export into Figma, as you see. Awesome. It's a nice little demo, and you can see how that kind of works. But and you can link it to Jira. So I'm not going to cover Jira. Jira is a tool that developers usually use to work on sprints. As you can see here, see how it starts to export it into code. And this is where like the power of Zeppelin actually comes in. And you can, work on it collaboratively as well. So really, really, really cool. You get the point. Cool. So beautiful.ai, and this is for the people that are really, really lazy. This is where everything's kind of built in. Most people build their presentations here because it's just so easy to build presentations here. It's mainly good for presentations. You can do some design work, but I think this is what Canva comes in to build out more than just presentations. But it's just really, really easy to build them. But I do have another tool that I haven't actually put in that I will show you that we actually used in the greenhouse when it comes to presentation building. So Canva, I think you guys most likely use this tool more than anybody else, but as you can see, you can go from video editing to Instagram post all on the fly relatively quickly. And I do think they have a mobile version of it for you, Dana, so you can work it on your phone. But super cool, very easy to use design tool, speed up your life. Cool. So UpLabs, and this is where I was saying you can actually start, if you don't want to create things from scratch, you can actually start downloading. So this is where I talk about the UI kits, which is a user interface kit. So pretty much gives you almost like a ready made mobile app or website let's say you wanted to do, I don't know, this kind of shop app design, it will give you this design. And usually this is done by designers, and there is a fee for some of these. But these are the designers that you can actually check and see if they've done a good job and see if they follow all the best practices. That way you don't have to design things from scratch. And this is where you can actually start your work by yourself without bringing in a dedicated UX and UI person, and then start working from these files, which speeds up your life a lot quicker. So it'll have all the little elements that need to be built into it. And yeah, and it's again super quick shortcut into building apps and or websites. So let's check out our web UI kit, since you guys are building mainly websites that are going to be responsive. I don't know, e-commerce mobile app design, that sounds good. And you can see, you can actually get that and import into Figma, and you're starting to see how all these tools start to interact with one another, as they are the standard when it comes to design and in this kind of digital sphere. Cool. All right. This is the one I'm really excited about. So it is really cool. So this is for people that are just trying to get a color palette going. So you go here, and you're like, you press spacebar and it starts to generate colors. Boom, random colors. Let's say, oh my God, I really love, I don't know what I love. I really love this brown. So I'll lock this. And once I start moving the colors again, this tool will actually say, you know what? Based on the color that you locked, these are all the colors that actually match it well. And you go, you know what? Cool. Yeah, you're right. Let me lock this one. And it'll start generating more colors based on the two other colors that are locked there. And then, once you keep going, you lock them in, and then you have your color palette. You can actually change a bit if you want to, do the hue a little bit, get it darker, warmer, softer, whatever kind of direction you want to take. And then you can export it and use these colors. You have the codes, use them as you like. I really love this tool, especially for people that have issues with color, like myself. Not that I'm colorblind, I just don't know how colors work really well, and I know they're very important. These are okay. Again, UI design resources, same thing as UpLabs. It'll just give you either emoji packs or full-blown websites, vector images, etc. Again, a really quick way to get started. If you guys use 3D design stuff, which I probably don't, you can export things from here into Blender, so you can do 3D designs, etc. So they have this 3D asset stuff here. Really cool stuff. And same thing with Stylefami. I'm not going to get into it. So this was kind of like the design and prototyping bit. Does anybody have any questions around these tools? Do they seem interesting? Do you think you'll use them? Do they look useful? Just kind of curious to get some feedback on these from you guys.
The color one is really cool, honestly, because I have a problem creating a color palette for my brand. Yeah, it's really cool. But I wanted to ask you, can we use any of these platforms to sort of create a page on our Shopify?
So yes, you can. But it's like a two-step process. So usually what you'll do is you'll design it in one of these tools, and you can design your full website or you can design a page, and really up to you. Then, because it's going to be hyper custom, especially in Shopify, you'll need somebody to actually code that in. And that could be either something that's really tough or not tough at all. So for this, we use, in order to kind of shortcut this, and if you don't want to go completely custom and you want to kind of have a halfway point where you save money from getting developers to code your design into your Shopify, we use a thing called ThemeForest, which is not here because that's specifically for Shopify, but probably really interesting, which is part of Envato Elements. And this is where you can actually get full-blown e-commerce templates for your Shopify. So really, really cool. So we go on Shopify and it will give you all they're pretty much websites and they cost nothing. They're like $40, $50 and you can actually buy them. Let me actually go into the proper one.
Can we also use Theme Forest for just one page? Because, like, for example, I have my press page on my Shopify, and I constantly update it. Like, I constantly, whenever I have new press, I add an image. But then adding an image is super difficult, and like it messes up the whole page if I add an extra image.
So okay, so if you want to just look at one page and you don't want to use an external developer, so the way we usually tackle dev work is we go to like Fiverr or Upworks, where you find freelancers that are around the world. They cost anywhere from like $5 an hour, obviously up to like $300 an hour. It really depends on the amount of work and type of working, but they have Shopify experts that work in the back end of the code. And if you give them the design, they'll translate it into your website. And that's one way of doing it. If you're looking for a little bit more of a shortcut, something that's more DIY, there's a really, really cool app on Shopify called Shogun. Shogun Shopify. Let's see if it's here. And Shogun Shopify it's kind of like a drag and drop for your Shopify. And you can build a whole website, or you can just build a page within your Shopify theme in a drag and drop. And I think it's relatively inexpensive. So you've got your page builder here. And it works really, really well with Shopify. You build it out and you start.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's very easy. So that's your solution there.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Other questions on this? Should I move on? Moving on. All right. So I know that you guys have been going through a lot of Facebook educational pieces, and I'm sure they've touched on Facebook Blueprint, and I think they did in one of the opening sessions. Again, Facebook Blueprint, really a great resource if you really want to understand performance marketing for Facebook specifically. You can get certified. There's all the quizzes based on all the topics that they cover, and it's really, really, really powerful. You go through a very light way of absorbing information. They quiz you afterwards. They help you in the places that you, let's say, missed out. And you can actually get certifications if that's something that's important to you. But it's really, really, really great resource. Google has the same thing called the Google Digital Garage. And it's really the same concept when it comes to all the Google products, which I do implore you to leverage as well. Facebook is just one part of your acquisition funnel. Google is definitely another. And when it comes to e-commerce, especially what's happening with Apple and all the restrictions that they're putting on data, Facebook's kind of weapons are not as strong, while Google is still, I would say, a lot better for you when it comes to your conversion. And I'll tell you why. When it comes to Google, when customers go on Google to do any sort of search, and if they're looking to buy, we call this customers with an intent to buy, because usually people go there to shop. They already know that they want to find something to buy. And this is where Google is your very good pull funnel, because all you have to do is be the first thing that pops up when it comes to the right search criteria. While Facebook is kind of the other way around, more of a push pull, where you're telling people, hey, I exist, come and shop. And Google is more like, yo, you're looking for something to shop? Check out these guys. It's slightly different method, and you do tend to have better conversion with Google on an average. Obviously, campaign performance will widely differ based on your KPIs and what you're trying to do. But in general, Google is a really, really good tool when it comes to a conversion. Now, is it a good tool for awareness? That's a different conversation. I don't think so. This is where you can express your brands a lot better. So if I were to just generalize, and I'm generalizing, and do not take this as like hardcore advice, I would build my awareness campaigns on Facebook, but I'll do my conversions on Google. blending in the correct way, and you guys might be in a far stage where you can actually really start playing around with those two advertising platforms. But it's just something to keep in mind, that even though we're running a ton of ads on your behalf at the moment via Facebook, and they're mainly online to offline conversion, but even if we're running them offline for online conversion, let's say we assume we had a Muse Concept e-com, we would most likely see better results via Google, depending on the competition in Saudi. And since the competition in Saudi is not as fierce as it is here, my assumption that will Google drive better results for conversion. So that's just in a nutshell. And this is kind of a great tool. Like, honestly, check the Google one out. Take an hour of your day, learn it. Both Facebook and Google, because they're here to stay regardless of what Apple does. But yeah. Cool, clear? Hope so. All right. I think we've covered Later, which is, and there's a bunch of other tools like Later.com, which is pretty much your Instagram scheduler. Now, there are some limitations, and I'm not sure if they worked on it, where you can't really schedule Insta stories. But when it comes to Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn, and TikTok, you can actually schedule your post in advance. You can have, and it's really, really easy. You just pick the time, pick the day, upload your content, upload your caption, upload your hashtags. You can do this for the whole month, set it and forget it, and it'll automatically post for you. Relatively inexpensive, to be completely honest. You can start for free. But I'm sure you guys have used it, and they're not the only one. So you use the one that you're most comfortable with, but I just wanted to let you know, for those that don't know, which I'm assuming is no one, there are ways to kind of automate your social media calendar. So this one's interesting. Uexpressia is a great tool once you start identifying who your consumer is. So it does there's a persona tool builder, and it's really, really cool because and I don't have access to it at the moment, or don't have a demo for it, but pretty much it asks you all the questions about your customer that you need to answer in order for you to better understand who your customer is and how to target them. So it's a mapping kind of tool, web-based as well, where you can put the picture, you can start asking questions about what do they do, what are their likes, what's their background, and really just the tool asks you these questions so you can better understand who your customer is, again, so you can better target them, as I said before. Really, really, really cool tool. There's a freemium model for it, so you can start playing around with it. And yeah, this is where you can build your personas. Usually you need to build about 3 personas per brand. If you have one, that's great as well, but usually you have 3, and this is where you understand them a lot better. So this is Uexpressia for persona generation. Really, really cool. Let me close these out. All right, we'll get to this later. All right, so any questions on this kind of marketing education tools? Relatively straightforward, but I think you guys should be fine. Any questions on performance marketing while we're at it as well? Okay, moving on. Again, feel free to stop me, guys. All right, so data viz and analytics. So this is going to get a little bit more technical, but I still wanted to show you guys this. Google Data Studio, I think I touched on this a little bit wider, so earlier on in these boot camps. So with Google Data Studio, it's a data visualization tool that is completely free, and it is a Google tool. The beauty is that most of you probably have Google Analytics already baked into or linked to your e-com website. Now, Google Data Studio takes it a bit further, and yeah, you can pull that information into Google Data Studio. Let me just launch it. And I'll show you like a template or two. So this is just a random marketing analytics dashboard, but you can build these awesome dashboards. The cool thing about it is that you can pull in data from anywhere and start blending it. So yeah, you can get your e-commerce data built in, but you can also start pulling in your Facebook data in here and start building correlations between the two. I know it might sound a little bit technical and that there is a bit of a learning curve, but as I said, you can get a freelancer to build this out for you. And since this is real time and it updates in real time, you can have a dashboard that you're checking every morning just to understand your overall performance. And you can pull data from any of the, let's say you have your brand present in 3 offline and 5 online kind of storefronts. You can actually bring in offline data, you can bring in online data, and you can have a kind of a dashboard to understand your full brand performance, and you can drill down. This is similar to tools like Tableau and Power BI, but these are expensive and they're very, very heavy to use. There's also Looker, which is another Google tool, but again, it's on like it's Google Data Studio, but on steroids. And this tool is really, really easy. Now, it is relatively easy to use, and you can link in a lot of data, and you can link in data from any source that you can think of into it and build beautiful dashboards that are updated on the regular. Really, really cool.
Could you possibly show us an example of how to link data?
Okay, let me see. Hold on. What I'm going to do is let me see if this one's actually working. So this is a dashboard that was built for one of our other programs. Let's see if any data pulls in, but I'll show you a really, really, really cool demo, like a quick demo on how this works really quickly. Actually, I'm not gonna mess with this. Let's just start with a blank one. So it starts like with a canvas, and you can use, so these are your data sources that you can pull in. So you can go from Google Analytics to Google Sheets, any of the Google products. You can also do Excel uploads. And then you can actually bring in Instagram, bring in MailChimp, as I said, pretty much anything and everything that you can think of, like HubSpot, any tool that brings in data. So let's just assume we want Google Analytics. Let me actually connect to an account that has something flowing into it. Let's use the SIPI one. It's easier this way. We'll bring a Data Studio report, a blank one. Bring in Google Analytics, authorize, and then let's bring in, I'm going to give you that's one that's not as active. So I have 2 websites, one's a landing page, the other one's the actual e-com, but we'll just do the landing page. And now that I have this, it will give me all, and I said it can get a little technical, but it will give me all the fields that have data in them, and I can actually blend it or bring in all website data. So let's assume I want to add a chart, and it's a pie chart, and I just drop it in here, and I say, let me get, so all website data is the data source, and this is where it will build it for me, but you can actually just bring in, like, so what the metric is. So you have all your metrics, this is all marketing metrics. So let's pick one that makes sense. Let's see if exit screen is going to work for me. So this will give me, based on the page title, it will give me an analysis of where people exit the most from my websites. And this is what it means. Like, this is the page title. So this is more of a blog bit. So specialty coffee. So this is my landing page, because I know the title of my page. And this is where people come in and leave the most. And this is what this analytics will tell me. This is just a very simple way of bringing the data in. And then you can see, like, already built this one for me, my landing page. It brought in 73 users. You can bring in, obviously, time variables into it, and you can bring all sorts of different types of charts that you would like to see. You can even bring geolocation into it, tree maps, et cetera, et cetera. Is that good enough? Do you want me to go a little more?
That's perfect. That's really fucking cool, actually.
It's phenomenal. Honestly, it's and the best part is it's free. Like, if you have a Google account, you're good to go.
Nice.
All right. Yeah. And the thing is with these, if you don't feel like playing around too much with it, most performance marketeers, devs, and again, freelancers that do this can do this for you. And you can just say, hey, I just want to see this particular data set, and they can build that. Or I can see you ask all the questions, and they'll put a dashboard together to do that for you. So, because I keep talking about it, so I'm going to show you one of them. So it's called Upwork. And we use this a lot just to kind of get quick and dirty work. So you have all these guys. You've seen this. You've seen this, guys.
We've used Upwork before.
Oh, perfect. I mean, then you know, like Upwork or Fiverr, those are the two that we use. And these are the ones that you're gonna find these guys to build this custom for you, and you can find them. So cool. So this is Google Data Studio. Google Analytics. If you don't have it, you should. I'm not gonna go over it because it's relatively straightforward. Infogram, I wouldn't. This is more for the group. It's an easy way to build infograms, which were cool at some point. I'm not sure if they're cool anymore. Use it as you like, not gonna go over it. But Hotjar is super, super cool. So Hotjar, very easy to integrate into your Shopify or any e-commerce platform that you have. And it starts to build out these heat maps for you, and it records people's behavior. So let me see if I can get into a Hotjar account that we have. And let's see if this one is still firing. So this is what the interface looks like. We'll go to heat maps. Yeah, so these aren't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use actually Muspheras. Let me see if there's a recording in here somewhere. Okay. Sorry, guys. Let me try this one. All right, cool. So there is these recordings. So this is part of it. So this is on mobile, and it will kind of show me exactly if my website is doing well. So there's a delay here that I'm seeing, and it'll give you all the little interactions that the person has done. So this is not me touching it. This is somebody actually interacting with my website, scrolling through, reading, interacting, understanding which brands I have on board, for example. Let's see, they're really looking into the brands, and then they're gonna click on the little arrow, as you can see, and they're most likely going to exit because the recording stops at 39 seconds. So they checked out and they said, cool, I'm out. So they might have not liked what they've seen. Let's see, let's pick another one. I don't know, this one looks interesting. Well, it's not. So they scrolled, and then they did nothing for a long time, right?
Wait, that's crazy. So if you sign up for Hotjar, it starts doing this automatically?
So it'll start doing this. So you set which page you want this to record, and it will start recording on it. And the cool thing is, and this is why I want to show you an actual heat map, which I don't have here, so I'm going to have to sign into another account. Not only will it record, and there's the freemium option, and the paid option is actually quite expensive. Let me pull in.
Only one page?
You can set it for different pages. You can set it for the full website. Let me see. Come on, Muspher, tell me you have some heat maps. No, none of them have heat maps. All pages containing. Yeah. It's just recordings for now. So pretty much it shows you your landing page, and you'll see exactly where people scrolled, where people clicked the most, right? So heat mapping, right? So where, if people are clicking on the menu button, or if people are clicking on the shop now button, et cetera, et cetera. So this is Hotjar, and it's really easy to install on your Shopify. Pretty much, it gives you a little bit of it gives you at a new site. You'll give you the URL. You put in all the data. It'll give you a little code. That code goes exactly in a specific place in Shopify. Super easy to integrate, and you're good to go. You set up what you want it to see, and you're good to go. Very, very simple. Really, really powerful. So since I know I'm running a little bit out of time, I'm going to go a little bit quicker. Bitly, I'm sure you might have guys used Bitly before. It pretty much helps you shorten any long link. that you have, and it helps you track, how many clicks from where, et cetera, et cetera. We use it quite often, especially if you have stuff that you want to put on Insta that are like really, really, really long. So you see, we had a huge, really long URL for one of our startups here had a feature in one of the newspapers. So it said, cool, let's put this on our social. We shortened this whole link because it's super long, and you can actually customize these. So it could be bit.ly/ t-shirt day, I don't know, whatever the case is, and then it starts tracking it and it tells you like how many people clicked on it, from where, et cetera, et cetera. It gives you a little bit more in depth into your links. Really easy to use as well. Segment, I'm not going to go into it because it is quite technical, so I'm going to skip that. Typeform, if you guys haven't used it, it's a great way. I mean, you guys have seen it. We use it for collecting the surveys, but it's a really, really good tool. And you can actually integrate it directly into your Shopify or any other websites. I keep saying Shopify now, Kauthar. You use, I think you were using WordPress if I wasn't mistaken, but you can do the same thing in WordPress as well. You can bring in, you can ask questions. You can even take payments via this if you have a subscription model. Super powerful, good for surveys, but also good for any other kind of interactivity, such as question and answer. So if you wanted to say, cool, what kind of, I don't know, pants I am, and you ask them a bunch of questions, it can generate an answer for them, like your blue pants today. Google Forms, again, very, very simple and easy to use. If you guys have an event and you guys want to collect info prior to that, or you want to generate signups or whatever the case is, Google Forms is an excellent way. It integrates in Google Data Studio, so you can pull the data in from there. Really, really easy tool to use when it comes to collecting data. So for example, we use it for my coffee business. We use it, the Google Forms, whenever a new SKU is in, because we're a multi-brand concept and we bring in brands onto our platform like a marketplace. This is the tool we use to ask them, hey, do you have any SKUs? How many SKUs do you have? What's the number of the items? What's the price? And you can really kind of interact with suppliers via the Google Forms tool. SurveyMonkey, I'm sure you guys know about SurveyMonkey, but just have to kind of it's a survey tool and it's free. It's a freemium model. So I'm not going to touch on this, but I will touch on Google Trends. And Google Trends is pretty cool. So Google Trends says, let me understand. Let's say I put fashion in there and I want to know fashion terms and who's searching for fashion in, let's say, Saudi Arabia in the past 12 months. And it will tell me what the volume of interest of the word is in the past 12 months. So from November 2020 to November 2021, exactly where those searches are coming from. And any related queries or related topics around fashion. So as you can see, H&M is trending quite high. I don't know, so I guess there's an outlet store called Topic that's also breaking out. And it gives you a really interesting overview of what people are searching for on web, if it's actually a news search, Google Shopping, YouTube search, which categories, and the time frame. So, and you can compare it versus search terms. So this is really good, obviously, for performance marketing, but it's also good, especially if you're a big brand, to understand, let's actually test the word. Let's say Dior, and what are people saying about Dior in the UAE? So obviously Dubai, Abu Dhabi will lead from, and then Dior France, for example. So people may be thinking about traveling. It looks like perfume is what we call a breakout, meaning that the volume of search is accelerating so quickly that they might become a top query. But it's just a really interesting way to understand certain terminology that's used on the Google search engine and how they're faring. You can obviously compare those. So really, really cool tool for insights. So if you're going to be launching something new, whether it's a new brand or a particular sub-brand label or whatever the case is, we use this tool called Noam. And this gives you an overview of the name that you want to use. So let's say I wanted to start Rafi Fashion Company, Rafi Fashion Co. So I'll click check it now. And it will tell me on all the social media, if it's available or not. So for example, it's not available on Instagram. So Rafi Fashion Co. is not available on Instagram, but it is available on Facebook. It is available on Tumblr, for example, but it's not available on LinkedIn. Let me check the domain. So rafifashionco.com is available, so I can actually buy it. I can buy the ME. And there doesn't seem to be any US trademarks on that name. So this gives you a really good overview of what is available as far as your digital equity and identity. And it's super important when you're launching something that needs to live as a brand. And this is where we always start. And this is where you can start playing around saying, well, what if it's, I don't know, Rafi Fashion with, 3 S's, for example, whatever the case. And you start playing around to understand whether any of the social networks are using it, any domains are using it, or any trademark. So if I click on domain, for example, it will give me all the domains around the world. So it'll give me the most relevant ones, the most important, the .com, but then I can also go and understand whether it is available in .ae, .sa, et cetera, et cetera. So really, really important if you want to build your kind of digital equity and have it unique and not used by anybody else. Now, SimilarWeb is actually what I call a spy tool. So if I wanted to know what my competitor's doing, so let's say Nike.com, I'll click on this and it will give me really, really, really cool data. 3 minutes, I got it. So it tells me that Nike.com is pulling in around 122 million users per month. Average duration is 3 minutes. Page per visit is close to 5. Bounce rate is kind of low, and it kind of gives me a really interesting overview of either my website, which you'll be able to get from GA in a lot more depth, but my competitors' websites, and see where they're getting most of the traffic from. This is a referral, so Nike Brazil seems to be pulling into Nike.com for whatever reason. Maybe certain items are available on Nike.com and not Nike Brazil. If it's organic versus paid and what they're bidding on, and it's really, really, really in-depth tool to understand where traffic's coming from and what are some of the things that they're using in order to generate that traffic. So that's SimilarWeb.com, SimilarWeb, and then BuiltWith is another competitive tool that we use to understand what people. So if I go to sippybeans.com, which is my website, you will immediately see that that I use a Facebook pixel. So I do a lot of performance marketing. I use Power in order to ask questions on the website for a specific thing. I've integrated MailChimp, but probably the most important is that I use Shopify. And I use different types of apps in Shopify in order to enhance my customers' experience. And you can see, like, I've integrated Shogun that we discovered before, and it gives you all the tech that is used on that website. And again, it's very interesting to see because if you see a website that you really, really like, and you're like, man, I really like this website, I wonder how they built it. This is a great way to start to understand what it's built on. So it'll tell you if it's Shopify or WordPress, or if it's custom built, et cetera, et cetera. So this is that. Crunchbase is a tool to look at startups from around the world. I'm not going to cover it. Facebook Ad Library. Now, this is a badass tool. So this was launched by Facebook because they need to show transparency in what's being run as far as ads. So if I wanted to see what, let's say, faces.com, and it's a hit and miss, by the way. It doesn't work all the time depending on the service because it's quite heavy. If I wanted to see what Faces is actually running, which ads are running, on what platform, at what time, et cetera, this will pull it out for me. But again, as I always say, it's a bit of a hit and miss. But what happens here is technically this displays an ad, whether it's a video or a post, it'll tell me all the details around it. So this gives you transparency on if you're using performance marketing, if the ads are being actually run on your behalf, if somebody else is doing it for you, or to see what your competitors are doing, what kind of content they're pumping out, because obviously you're not always going to see all the ads that are being run. So Facebook Ad Library, really, really cool tool. These are website landing page builders. Again, the one I would always recommend is Shopify, Wix, Webflow for full-fledged websites. Squarespace, I'll run away from. All these out that are like these last 9, these are great for just landing page design, quick and dirty and easy. idea generators, and I'll run through Miro only because all these do the same thing. You can do mind mapping, and you can do, it's like think of it as a post-it board or a huge like board that you can just throw stickies on, build flows, do customer journeys. And this is what we use for Sippy, for my website, in order to kind of understand the flow of the customer. It has all the tools already built in. It's super collaborative, and it's like, you can just dump a ton of stuff. It's a good way to just do idea generation. You can do it with your team, or you can do it on your own, and just kind of like, it's a great way to do that. Really, really, really easy to use. Both of these guys do the same thing. When it comes to productivity, if you guys don't use productivity tools, I really recommend either Trello or Monday.com. We at the Greenhouse, let me see if I can pull up Monday.com for us. So we use Monday.com, which is a really, really good way to, so the guys are working on the startup studio model. They needed to put together a 3-year plan. It has validated and then in the correct timeline. So really, really powerful way to do your to-dos, but it also integrates with everything and anything. So if a certain task is completed, it can trigger something else. And you can actually trigger it like, hey, I wrote the caption for my Instagram post. Great, that links to later.com, and it triggers the post to go live, for example, just to give you an example of that. And then last, but definitely not least, we use what we call the business canvases. So we have the lean canvas here, which is a one-page business plan. And it asks you the questions in order to really understand whether your business is something that you should be starting. So it's a great way to write your business plan on one page. We use this all the time, and you can just kind of come in here and save image as, and download it, print it, and use it. It's in high quality. So really, really, really good tool. We have a problem statement canvas. So we usually approach startups by saying, what problem are you solving for those customers? This doesn't really apply to you as much, guys, because you guys are in fashion, but this is a good way if you want to start a startup and say, hey, I see that people, I don't know, walk a lot. So what's the problem? I don't know, problem is that people's feet heat up as they walk. So a potential solution could be shoes that are breathable, and then you have Geox. Just a dumb example. And then last but not least, and this is probably the more important one, is the negotiation canvas, which pretty much puts you against whoever you're negotiating, maps out all the points that you need to consider before you start actually negotiating, whether that's a deal with a factory or a deal with a retailer that you want to kind of enter. And I am 3 minutes over, and I'm done. Questions?
Thank you, Rafi.
Questions? Was this helpful? Did you guys get enough out of it? I hope. There's a lot more, but yeah, I mean, and I'm more than happy to go in depth on a one-on-one basis with you guys if you're really interested in one-to-one. You need a little bit of help getting started. But I just want to get the kind of a consensus. Like, was this helpful, guys? Did you find some things that you guys are definitely going to use? I'll be great if you use at least one of these tools. I'll be very happy.
That's for sure.
Yes, yes, Rafi. It was amazing. I just have a question. I'm not sure if you know how to, those affiliated ads?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you know how to do that?
So usually with affiliates, you need to get an agency, because if you're doing affiliate ads, and there's one agency in the Middle East that is the leader, called Arab Clicks. And this is a great way to get started, to get affiliate model going. Affiliate can be very powerful to the extent where with affiliate marketing, you might not even need to do any other type of marketing. Depending on your funnel. So it's really interesting to explore that. Give the guys a call at Arab Clicks, have them explain to you how it works and what their funnel is. And I think they're not that expensive to get started. We use them when the organization, obviously with big brands, we have big budgets, so it's a lot more impactful, but I do think they have startup friendly rates as well. So you can get started with them, but super powerful and a great question.
Cool, thank you so much.
You got it. Anyone else before I let you guys go?
Can we have a session about SEOs?
SEO or STO?
SEOs.
SEO,
I don't
of
know.
course.
I always get like emails saying, "Oh, we can help you with SEO," and I don't know what that means.
Okay, so ignore them, please, all of them. But there is a lot of merit in when it comes to search engine optimization. And one thing you need to know that you have two, when you have technical and non-technical SEO. For technical SEO, you're going to need someone that looks at your website, app, whatever digital structure you have that lives on the internet. And the other one is something that you, as Dania, can actually tackle on a daily basis in order to get it. SEO could be massively powerful as well, where it can get a lot of traffic into your funnel. But yes, we can definitely touch on a session on that.
Perfect. I don't know if this is basically when someone clicks in blue bag and then like your product comes up on Google at the same time.
So no. So SEO, you have SEM and SEO, and this is where probably a lot of the confusion comes. SEM is Facebook and Google, where you pay a lot of money for people to see your ads, whether that's on Google or on Facebook. When it comes to SEO, this is where it's organic, yes. So Google rewards you for being relevant for the search term that is put into their Google search. So what they pride themselves on is relevance in search. So if I'm looking for a bag, let's say I just put fashion bag, they need to find the most relevant ranking. So who is the top one in relevance when it comes to fashion bag? Is it Daniel Shankar? Is it Louis Vuitton? You know, like, who is the most relevant? What is that user really trying to find? So it will start to rank. And this is, the reward comes of how you've actually set up your infrastructure of your website. This is where the technical SEO comes. So the way you've written, so every page has a specific structure in code. You have your top line header that pretty much tells Google, this is the title of this page. It says it's fashion bags. It might be relevant for the search query. Then you have all the body of the text and all the little keywords that have been made. This is all the technical bit that needs to be clean. And there's a standardized process in order to write code in your website so Google can have the easiest and quickest way of finding you based on the relevant search term. And Shopify and Wix and all these guys come with the standardized model baked in, but that's not enough for competition. So for example, Farfetch, who is a phenomenally big, they employ like an army of SEO guys that only look at how to optimize this. So they're always top without having to pay. So this is where you rank number one, and you don't actually have to pay to rank number one on Google. This is the technical side. And the non-technical side is the relevant content that you put. So each picture, when you upload a picture of your bag, the image name of that picture needs to be written in a certain way so Google can find it a lot easier, saying this is a blue bag that has snake skin and a wooden handle that is medium sized. Like, it needs to know all of this to be able to say, you know, you're super relevant, we'll rank you high, excuse me. So this is where you've got your technical, and then your non-technical is your blog posts. And there's a certain science behind writing content words into your website and blog posts into your website. You know, it can't be above, it was like 1,200 words. If it's above 1,200 words or 1,200 characters, I forgot exactly what else, it will penalize you. So Google will actually penalize you if you're not doing it right, if you're trying to cheat it. So there's what we call a black hat SEO that tries to cheat, and there's the white hat SEO that's trying to go the hard way, but it's actually a lot more impactful when it comes to your ranking. And this is where you need to balance. And this is just kind of SEO in a nutshell. And it can get very, very complicated very quick. But the beauty of it is, if you do this, which is technically free because you're not spending money on advertisement, you start to rank higher and higher on Google, and that counts a lot. So that's just a very brief overview of SEO.
Oh my God, Chinese.
Yeah.
But
a
thank
bit.
you. A bit.
Guys, I would also say as well, I've seen that none of you have put in time to use up any of the experts from Shuttle or from Facebook. Mo, I know for credentials, you need to reschedule your one meeting with Facebook, but guys, the Excel sheet that I give out that has every single recording of all the bootcamp sessions, It has time slots and free spaces where you can book in Shell Hoop experts, Facebook experts. Please utilize these, because after the program ends, it's going to be harder, if not non-existent, to have this kind of easy flow of you being able to jump in and jump out with these experts. But yeah, so you have between now and December. So even if it's for 2 weeks from now, but you want to book in 3 or 4 of them, book them in, because it's also very hard to get these guys. So last minute bookings is possibly going to be non-existent. So just pre-plan a bit, go in, take a look, and sign up, please.
Will do.
Cool. I'll send you the link. Sinead will send you the link to the toolbox, what we like to call the toolbox. If there's something that you guys are kind of wondering and missing and stuff, and really just ping us, and I'm sure there's a tool out there that will help you with whatever you're trying to do. But cool, guys. Thank you very much for joining in today, and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ciao, guys.
Bye.